Okay, welcome back, everyone. What a wonderful thing to spend a Motzi Shabbos with all of you wonderful people. And we got cut off. So the dedications got cut off because of my battery problem, which seems to have resolved itself because there seems to be now some juice here in the computer, Baruch Hashem. We're co-sponsored by the Zepkowitz family in honor of their parents, co-sponsored by Mr. and Mrs. Eddie Chazan, L'Refuah Shlema for Shoshana Bas Penina Sim Bas Rochel, co-sponsored by Binyamin Rivlin, Lili Nishmas Yitzchak Ben Avram Yehuda Halevi, co-sponsored by Shelley Zeitlin for my refuah and for his children Eli Orit and Ora, by Berich Goldwasser, L'Refuah Shlema for myself, Moshe Meir Ben Esther Fradel, HaKos HaTov to the Shir, and by Shalom Fogel, Lili Nishmas Yaakov Zev Ben Yehuda Aryeh, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Shivya Miriam Bas Gad, and Yosef Ben Sion Ben Yaakov Zev. And we welcome in Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, who made it as our 30th Zoomer. And we have Eddie Chazan, Saba, Yaakov Warman, Mel Zachter, Stephen Holtzman, Irving Fishbaum, and Shimon Klein, Dr. Block, Dr. Guy, Michal, Ben Sion Cohn, Yisrael Fisher, the guy from Chicago, Marshall Castle, Nachman Chapley, Yitzi Muller, Shelley Zeitlin, Dov Solkowitz, it's great to have you, Dov. Mo Kushner, great to have you, Mo. Shimon Deer is here. Great to have you, Shimon. Dr. Eisenberg, Barry Cement, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Eddie Chazan, Menachem Umansky, Mark Frankel, who's still staying in the background for some reason. He's in a bunker, I don't know. Ilya Shutman, Moshe Lehman, Naftali Jablin. I'm not sure who Daddy is. Abe Arbach. And here in the shul, we have Berish.
Doesn't sound very good the way you said that.
Berish Gesseman and Michal Avram and A.B. Spry. A.B. Spry, who comes all the way from the other side of the neighborhood. And Ruvain Shannon. A.B., it's great to have you over here. A.B., you might be here. One of my earliest Talmidim on the Zoom. I'm not sure if you're before Saba. Saba is also one of my earliest Talmidim. Oh, what am I talking about? Bruce is with me for a very long time. Usually on these shiurim, Irving is a long time, but on these shiurim, I think my earliest Talmud, if it's not Shelley, would be Ruvain Pollack. I think Ruvain Pollack is with me for at least 5 cycles.
About 31 years.
You're 31 years. 31 years. 31 years that's going into the 5th cycle. Yeah, that's going into the 5th cycle. Well, A.B., you're also around that much because
your mother.
Right. A.B. is also because the shul. A.B. is longer. A.B. the shul is now 32 years old. Am I correct with that number? 32. I know because my Yocheved is 32, and the first kiddush in the shul was for my daughter Yocheved. But anyway, okay. So the Gemara says v'loi pligi. Is there no argument in the Mishnah? Does everybody hold that the reason in the Mishnah is because of the fact that that Barry is not gainfully employed and he only plays dice and that's why he's puzzled Eidos? V'atanya bein sheyesh lo yumna shalohu bein she'ein lo yumna selahu. It says in a brisa whether he has a profession or not. How is that possible? Because it's because it's an asmachta, because each one never thought they were going to lose, and therefore taking the pot is stealing. Says the Gemara, well, no, that's not the Tanakama of our Mishnah. He Reb Yehuda Mishim Reb Tarfon he. That's Reb Yehuda in the name of Reb Tarfon, who says a very interesting psak in Mesechtes Nazir. Here we have, A.B. says, I'm a Nazir because the guy across the street is a Nazir. And Ruvain says, I'm a Nazir because the guy across the street is not a Nazir. So we would say one of them is a Nazir. Reb Tarfon says neither of them is a Nazir. The Tani Reb Yehuda Mishim Reb Tarfon La'olam Ein Echad Mehem Nazir. Neither of them is a Nazir. Why? Because when they said the statement, it wasn't definitive. They didn't know. Lefi Shaloi Nitna Naziris Ela La'afla. Naziris is only where it's said decisively. So you see that in a case where it's not decisive, it doesn't count. So here, where Barry wasn't certain that he's going to lose, he wasn't gamar to give it over to his opponent, Marshall. So that's considered theft. So then, that's why both of them engaging in gambling would be pasal ha'edus. Malva beribus. Here the question is, what happened is Shelley gave a loan to Yitzi with ribus. Is it only Shelley that's pasal? Or is Yitzi also pasal because he took ribus? So Amar Rava loiva beribus pasal ha'edus. No. Yitzi for taking interest is also pasal. So the Gemara says, Ayvanan tanan milva beribus. So the Gemara says, milva, only a creditor, only the one who gives it. So the Gemara says, no, that's not how to read the Mishnah. Milva haba beribus. It means a loan that came through interest. A loan that came through interest, both of them are disqualified from testimony. Bar Benitus, there was a man, Bar Benitus, Asidu be Trei Sadeh. 2 witnesses testified against him. Chad Amar, Yisrael Fisher said, Kamei Didi Oizef. In front of me, he gave a loan with ribis, Oizef beribisa. So he's testifying that Bar Benitus is a pasal ha'edus. V'chad Amar, and Shelley said, L'didi Oizef beribisa. He gave me the loan with ribis. Says the Gemara, pasal Rava leBar Benitus. Rava disqualified Bar Benitus as an aid because you have 2 witnesses that he gave a loan with interest. Says the Gemara, but how could you accept Shelley? We said Rava Hudama Leiva Beribis pasal ha'edus, that a person who takes a loan is pasal. And here Shelley said he took the loan from Bar Benitus, so he incriminated himself. Says the Gemara, Havale Rasha. So then Shelley is a Rasha, but Tayram al Tashes Rasha aid. You can't have a Rasha as a witness. Says, well, no, this is Rava. Remember, Rava says that a person can't incriminate himself. This is Rava Shita. Rava l'tamei, dama Rava adam karavei tzalatzma. A person is close to himself. Vein adam meisum atzma Rasha. He can't make himself a wicked person. So then the question is, if he can't make himself a wicked person, so then we can't believe him, then how could he incriminate Bar Benitus? The answer is that Rava also holds palginon dibura. We could split it. We could believe him about to disqualify Bar Benitus, but we don't believe him to disqualify himself. It's a Shelley. It's a hair splitting. We're hair splitting. Now, here's an interesting case. We always want to figure out how a person could get a second chance, how a person could, get themselves better. So Tapcha, there was a butcher. It's found out, Abi went into the store, and he finds out he sold them treifas. So Abi goes to the kafke, and they pull this guy's hechsher. Paslei Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman disqualified him, the Ovrei, and fired him. So the Gemara says, Ozel, this butcher went to show contrition. Rabbi Mazia, he let his hair grow, the tufrei, and his nails grow, to show that he feels very, very bad. Sava Rav Nachman Lachshura. Rav Nachman figured to reinstate him. Amalei Rava, so Rava says maybe he's maybe just a trickster. Maybe he figures this is what I have to do to get my job back. Dilma Yerume Kamar, maybe he's just being clever to get his job back. Elamaita Kante, so Rav Nachman said to Rava, so how does he get restitution? How could he correct himself? Says the Gemara, Kid Rav Idi Baravin. The Amar Rav Idi Baravin, Hachoshid ala Trefus, if somebody was suspected of selling non-kosher meat, Ein loy takana at sheyelech l'makom she'ein makirin oisei. He has to go to a neighborhood that they don't know him, so he's not doing it just for show. V'yazer aveda b'davar chashiv. It has to be that he finds a diamond ring and returns it. So you see that he's not anymore a crook. Or he disqualifies his own animal, suffering a huge loss, something that's costing him an animal that he could have sold for $5,000, and he declares it a treifa, then we could reinstate him. Now the next case is pigeon racers. So simply, this would be another case of gambling, right? Marshall is into pigeon racing. You know? I think he just went to get his pigeons now. That's why he's not here, right? So mafricha yoinim, my mafricha yoinim, hakat tirgama, itiktem yoinich liyavan. If your dove gets there at the finish line before my dove, I'll pay you $100. Pigeon race, betting on the pigeons. Rabbi Chama bar Oishya, no. This is something else. This is aura. This is where, and I'm ashamed of you, Barry, but what Barry does is he has a trained decoy pigeon who lures away other people's pigeons to his property. And so he's a thief. That's why he's puzzled Eidos. The Amar says Gemara, Man the Amar itikte me yainach liyain, the one that says it's pigeon racing, my time aloi Amar Ara, why doesn't he say the decoy pigeon? Amalach, when Barry decoys people's pigeons, they're pigeons that are flying from the wild. So those people really don't own the pigeons. It just mipnei darkei shalom, you're not allowed to try to take them away. Amalach ara mipnei darkei shalom ba'alma. So he holds that wouldn't passel him le'edus, because that's just, that you're not doing for the good of society, but that wouldn't disqualify. It's not real theft. Omanda Amar Ora, and the one that says a decoy pigeon, my time aloi Amar itik me yainach liyain. Why doesn't he learn pigeon rations? And of course, the answer over here is simple. That's the same thing as Mesachik B'Kuvya. It's another type of gambling. Why do we need two cases? Amalach Hainu Mesachik B'Kuvya. That's playing dice. That's gambling. The Idach, the other opinion says, well, dice, dear Barry never thought he would lose. Because Barry feels he knows all of the probabilities a lot better than Marshall. It's like backgammon.
I have loaded dice.
It's like backgammon. So it's like Amalach. The Ida Tana Taylor B'das Atzmai, the Tana Taylor B'das Yainai, where it's the pigeon race, the Tzricha. The Tana Taylor B'das Atzmai, there it's theft, because Barry never thought he would lose. Hasamhu the Loigamar Amakne, he really doesn't make up his mind that he's going to give the pot to Marshall. The Amar, because he says, Kimli benafshoy the Adana Tvei, I know the probabilities more. Now, nobody could guarantee winning a game of backgammon. But if somebody is good at backgammon, then they'll win more games out of 100 than the other person. That's the way it works with shesh bet. Aval toila b'das yoinai, but in the case of the pigeon racing, there Barry knows it's not up to him which pigeon goes first, and therefore he agrees, he made up his mind that he might lose. So that's not an asmachta. On the other hand, you know what they do with pigeon rations? They have like a grogger. They have like a grogger, it's called a clapper. And they bang the clapper to go on their pigeon. Barry thinks he's a better clapper than Marshall. You have to know, Barry is a clapper, says the Gemara, "V'itana Taylor b'das yainai dama de benaksha talya milsa." It has to do with the banging of the gragger. V'ano yadanal in the kushay tfei, and therefore he never was gomer that he's going to give it to Marshall, and therefore it's an asmachta. Aval b'Taylor b'das atzmai, but by the dice, it's luck. Aimaloi, there he understood that he might lose, and it's not an asmachta. So tzricha, they have to say both cases. Meisrei, ha-mesachek b'kuvya, elu hein ha-mesachekim b'pispasim, with wooden cubes. V'loi b'pispasim b'vadam, not just with wooden cubes, el afilu klipei agayzim, nutshells. V'klipei remind him pomegranate shells, whether it's going to land on the top or on the bottom. The Emasai Chazarasan, and when do we know that they repented? Mishayishbru es pispaseim, when they break the dice. V'yazur b'em chazarik gemur, they repent completely, they don't even play for fun. Da'afil b'achinam lo yavdei, they don't even play for fun. Malva beribis, one who gives a loan with interest, echad milva ve'echad aloiva, whether he gives a loan, whether he takes a loan. And when do we know they repented? When they tear up their documents, they won't even give loans to goyim with interest. Now this is a cockfighting. They have their pigeons fight and they bet on the outcome. Even animals, beasts, and birds. When is their repentance? Mishayishberu es pigmehen. That when they break their graggers, when they break their clappers. V'yazru ben chazar gemura. And here the Gemara says, Da'afilu b'midbar nami lo yavdei. Now this only works in the case of the decoy. The pshat in the Yainim with the decoy, that we will reinstitute him as a witness that he doesn't send out his pigeons even in the wilds. Now in the wilds, it's not going to take it away from anybody, but he stops using decoys entirely. Seicharei shvias, those that do business with shmita, elu shenoisim v'noisim b'perish shvias, these are people that do business with Paris of Shemitah. They must say Chazarasim Mishitagia Shvias Acheres, when the next Shemitah comes, when they stop doing it. But it's not enough to stop doing it. Not just that they don't do it this time. Amru El Chazaris Mum, they have to return money that they took. Ketzad Aimrani Pliny Bar Pliny Kinasti Masayim Zuz. I did commerce with 200 zuz, but Paris Shvias. I give the 200 zuz as a gift to the poor. So Ketani Nias, when it says about the racing, it says also behema. If my dove gets before your dove, you can have it by animal racing, by horse racing. A decoy, can one animal decoy other animals? Says the Gemara in Bishar Habar, it could be by acts of the wild, which could use a decoy to get other acts. Now, it's not, and everybody does not hold that an act of the wild is an animal, but a command Bishar Habar min behema, it could be domesticated. Some gesund, it's not in Shar Habar min behemel, it's in the domestic animal. Rabbi Yisrael min chay. Now, Tana, hoisifu aleim, they added to the list of who is pasal le'edus, hagazlonim, thieves, v'chamsonim, these are people that take away from people forcibly, they pay them, but they take it away by force. And so the Gemara says, a gazlan, that's daraisi. Of course he's disqualified. That's biblical. What's the chiddush? Says the Gemara, it's talking about where Barry, Barry snatches stuff that was picked up by a deaf mute, an imbecile, or a child. Now, since they can't make a kinyan, it's not really stealing. So Meikara Savar, that doesn't disqualify him from Edus, because Metzias Charetz Shaitim Mekatan Lo Shchiche, it's not common. Inami, it's only Mipnei Darkei Shalom. He doesn't have a kinyan, so it doesn't disqualify him. But Kavan the Chazu Seif Mamainu, he's stealing money from someone else. The Kashakli, Mamainu the Kashakli, we can't trust him about a monetary matter, and Paslinu Rabbanan. The Rabbanan disqualified him. Now in this case, Marshall goes up to Dov, and he pulls Dov's watch off his hand, and he gives him money for it. He's a chamsin. Okay? So, says the Gemara, Hachamsonim, Meikarasaver, look, the Meikaya, Marshall gave Dov money. Akroi Baalmu, it just happens, and therefore, we're not going to disqualify Marshall from Edus, but Kevin the Chazu, the Kachotfe, he would snatch the item and don't only throw the money afterwards. Goes to Rabbanan, and the Rabbanan say that Dov really doesn't want it. It's considered akin to theft, and we disqualify Marshall from any court in the world. Now, Tana, Oida Isifu Aleim Haroyim, shepherds, Hagaboyim, tax collectors that paid, that get a salary from the government, Vamuchsin, and people that buy a medallion to tax people themselves. So Royim, shepherds, make akroi ba'almu. If the animals graze in somebody else's fields, it just happens. But Kevin the Chazu to come mechavnei, they bring the animals to another person's field. V'shadu l'chatchila, and have them graze on Dr. Eisenberg's field, goes Rabbanan that they're disqualified from testimony. Hagaboyim v'amuchsin, these are different types of tax collectors. Meikarasav, initially they thought that they tax what's only legal. My the kitzlu kashakli, they take what they're entitled to. Kaven the chazu, that they take unfair amounts. The kashakli yisera paslunu, they're disqualified. Amarava, Raya she'amru, the shepherds that we're talking about is echad raya behem adaka, those that pasture small livestock like sheep and goats. The echad raya behem agasa, or large livestock like cows and horses. Says the Gemara, mi amarava hachi, v'amarava raya behem adaka beretz Yisrael psulin. Pasturing behem adaka in Eretz Yisrael is possible. Chutzlar ksherim. Raya behem agasa is afilu beretz Yisrael ksherim. Says the Gemara, no, that's not talking about grazing. That's talking about raising them. Ahu b'megadlin itmar. And ochanami mistavra midiktani nemonim alai shloisha raya bakar. I trust 3 raya bakar. Now these are large livestock. That means that normally they're not good. So it must be talking about where they're grazing. And grazing is not good even by large livestock. My lavla edus. So the Gemara says, no, there it's talking about for judgment. Loiladina. That I accept even though these guys are not well versed in Torah. Dekanami diktani shloisha raya bakar. And obviously it's not for witnesses, because for witnesses you don't need 3. V'ila edus shloisha lamali. Velamai ladina. Then why does it say 3 shepherds? It should say 3 regular people. Ma'ir yashloisha raya bakar, kolbeit plasa deloy gamrei dina nami yachi. Nami. They should just say 3 people from the street. Says Gemara, no. A raya bakar is less. 3 people from the street, they at least know how business works. Raya bakar, they're bumpkins. They don't know anything about business. They're not in the town. They're not in the city. They don't know anything about business matters. Amr Rabbi Yehuda, Stam roya pasel. A regular shepherd is disqualified. We assume that he grazes on other people's fields. Stam gabay kosher. A regular tax collector is kosher unless you know he's taking more than the allowed percentage. Okay, wow, what a job. Two blot. You know, we did this in an hour and 5 minutes.